everybody so far. I say it all the time. If you have subscribed, if you have made a comment, subscribe and like to the channel, I really appreciate that. Y'all have no idea what that means. Right to it. If you haven't had an update and got a chance to look at some of the updates on the channel, I'll leave a description. On top of that, for the latest news, sports, and entertainment, we got things coming up. Interview with Atlanta's entrepreneur. I had to push that back, but that will be on the channel. That will be something that you can look at coming up this Sunday. I had to push that back. Also, I have other things coming up, a couple other interviews with some guest speakers, surprise guests as well. I think that's about it. Yeah, right to it, Paterson. Yeah, I know it's a lot of controversy, and a couple people wanted me to do something about, just kind of want me to speak on it, want to know my take on his whole bulldog comment, referring to black women. How do I feel about that? That's crazy. Wow. I'm not surprised, and I will say that. I'm not surprised from his comments that he made in reference to black women as bulldogs. I do think that I don't think he was talking to black women as physical, like the physical attributes of a black woman, relating her as a bulldog. And to his defense, I think he was thinking more of the attitude. I think he was like that reference was more to black women attitudes, because black women are tough. They're very tough, very tough. Black woman can work 2 jobs. She can go to school, come home, take care of her children, not need a husband. Black women are tough in that aspect. It's not saying that any woman outside of the black race isn't, but black women do deal with a lot. So I'm thinking he was, but I'm not going to defend him on just making in reference to the comment, because I do think it was insensitive. And there are a lot of brothers out there that are coons. There are a lot of brothers out there that are Sambos and think that way. I am opposed to some of the things people say online. I think you need to kind of watch what you say, because it can be taken out of context very extremely easy. And I think this is one of those times where, dude was just like, I think it's one of them times where dude just kind of put his foot in his mouth. His emotions got the best of him. I think he was defending his wife, because Paterson's wife is white, and that's why he made those comments. But you can't make $2 million a year and be online arguing with people you don't know. You should be in the gym playing basketball, working on your game. That's what you get paid for. You're an NBA star. I mean, I think dude is actually currently riding the bench for the LA Clippers now. And he hasn't really been much of a contributor for a team since he's been in the NBA. So I will say, man, work on your game, man. Don't worry about what people online saying about your family or your wife. These people don't know you, so for you to participate in that just shows a lack of probably just a very insecure dude, just going by his comments. I don't know, it's crazy, and a lot of guys feel that way. You have a lot of athletes out here that, marry white women, and I think a lot of them, maybe they're trying to validate their eccentric beauty standards by doing this. And I'm not saying, and let me get this out the way, I think people should date who they want to date. I think love is love, and I'm not really gonna get too much into that. I just think people, if you want to date somebody Hispanic, you want to date somebody white, you want to date, whoever you want to date, that's your preference. I'm cool with it, My only problem with that is not appreciating or having some pride and morals from where you actually come from. And like, if you're gonna date a white woman, don't talk bad about your sisters. Like, don't say, well, I don't talk to sisters because of this. I don't talk. Just, date who you want to date, but don't throw your own under the bus. And that's, vice versa. That goes for a white woman. If a white woman was to date a black guy, she don't need to be talking around. I don't think it's particularly. I wouldn't. I don't think she should be like, this is why I don't date white guys. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not gonna date a white woman and tell a white woman why I don't date sisters. I'm just gonna date her. I think people need to stop doing that. And this is a case where Paterson did that, and it got him in some hot water and some heat. It's like I said, it's a preponderance of black men trying to accessorize their success with marrying white women. And I think they look at white women as a trophy, a status trophy of if you can go all the way back to the Loving versus Virginia case in 1967, when, all 50 states, according to the U.S. Supreme Court ruling, was basically making it legal for black men and white women to marry, and white women and whatever, vice versa, right? Until racial marriages was basically legal, was illegal at one time, with the Loving versus Virginia case kind of opened that up and made it legal for that to take place. So since then, it's been a lot of black guys marrying outside their race. A lot of black guys marrying outside their race. And like I said, I don't want to tell people who they should love and who they should marry and have children with and start their family with. But I think if you do decide to step outside your race and date outside your race, particularly if you want to date a white woman, I just don't think it's right for you to look down and bash other black women, right? I grew up in Europe, so I grew up in a culture where which it was pretty diverse. My father was in the military, and my mother never really talked a lot about who I should marry, but I think she wanted me to marry a black woman, just by her comments, but she never just specifically said that. And I had nothing to do with my mother being racist, because she's not. I think I had a lot to do with just more of a maybe a culture bond per se. Maybe something having to do with maybe I have more commonality with like a black woman than I would with a white woman. And people have their opinions, people have their preference, and you just can't fault people on that. But I do think what he said about black women, referring them to bulldogs, that was just out of line. That's just how I feel about that. That's just out of line. Because you basically calling women like Nia Long and Laura London, Halle Berry, a Beverly of black women. You basically you're labeling them as ugly bulldogs. Yeah, that's pretty tough. Although I don't think that's where you was going, but that's just the way it sounded. So that's tough, man. And as people put themselves in, make some choices, man. Put themselves in tough shoes when you say things. You get online and try to defend yourself, and it's kind of like uncharted territory. You know, it's kind of like a tough position to put yourself in, especially being in the spotlight as an NBA star. And like I said, bro, I think you got more things to focus on, man, for real. You know, and people try to build a reality for themselves, and there's nothing wrong with it. You know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to live your own life, and nothing wrong with wanting to embrace liberation and be free. But I think a lot of people need to get off this kumbaya shit. You know what I'm saying? Just get off that kumbaya shit. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is people think that racism is it's a process or our own thoughts of our own imagination. Like, it doesn't exist anymore. I mean, I don't like talking to people like that. Those are some just narrow-minded, not smart people at all. You know, and I don't like small talk. I don't like having conversations with people that's not smart. They're very annoying, extremely annoying people. But like I said, man, I just think his comments towards black women was definitely insensitive. And that's the society we live in now. I mean, you have guys that think that way. A lot of guys think that way. A lot of guys are in a it's just a reflection of self-hate, I think, when you say things like that. And let me clear this up. I don't think because you marry a white woman, it's a reflection of self-hate. I don't per se, I don't think that. You know, I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think that's the case. But I will say that, because I have friends that marry white women. I have friends that's dating white women. I have friends that's, you know, and because I have friends that are white women that are real cool. You know, I haven't dated them, but I know women that are cool, that are white. And so, you know, it's not that I'm trying to sit on the fence. And I don't want to be offensive, but my thoughts on how I feel about what Patrick Paterson say and how I feel about people dating outside their race. And you heard my thoughts, you know, date who you want to date, but just don't put your own down. And that's just how I feel. And you got a lot of dudes out there that do that. And like I said, maybe they're trying to accessorize their success. Maybe that can be a case, or maybe it's just some insecurities or some self-hatred. And it's a stigma that exists among black people. You know, we hate a lot of us hate our own color of our skin. And I think that can be a case where, you know, he may be going through some of that. So who knows? But like I said, I just think the comments was out of line, and maybe that one day he would, you know, find his place, because self-hatred is real. Self-hatred is something that, you know, a lot of people go through. Self-hatred is something that a lot of people will continue to go through. So Patrick Paterson is in like a hot water right now, and maybe one day he'll look back at his comments and understand what he said was wrong. And until then, that's just what it is. So, like I said, and, you know, just to go ahead and finish this off, you know, I think everybody's beautiful. You know, who you decide to date is your business. But at the same time, don't talk about your own race to try to make a point, you know, regarding how you feel about something, you know. So, you know, that's just how I feel about that. And until next time, peace.